First of all, I was not looking for a newspaper. I had no intention of buying a newspaper.
For Jeff Bezos, there is no limit to technology, and his life has been about exploring these possibilities, even beyond our wildest imagination. When you hear the name Jeff Bezos, what comes to mind first is the empire Amazon that has changed the face of e-commerce forever and the role this man has played in bringing it to life. He risked it all for an internet startup and changed how we shop forever. So, how is he able to accomplish this despite his humble beginnings? You're about to find out, but before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. And now, here's how Jeff Bezos became the world's most powerful CEO. Growing up in Texas, born to a high school student who divorced Jeff's father after a few years, Jeff Bezos was actually born Jeffrey Preston Jorgensen in 1964. At that time, his father Ted Jorgensen owned a bike shop but couldn't do anything much when his wife walked out the door with his young son. Eventually, she married a Cuban immigrant, Miguel Mike Bezos, who had almost nothing more than the clothes on his back when it came to America. He adopted Jeff legally, and that's why he has his surname to this day. However, Jeff's parents knew that he was a little genius quite early on. As a die-hard fan of Star Trek, he was obsessed with exploring space and even dreamed of the day that we would all move to the moon. Maybe that will happen eventually, we still have time. Despite not having a solid relationship with his biological father, who died in 2015, Jeff Bezos was pretty close to his stepfather, who eventually moved his family to Houston, Texas, after getting married to Jeff's mother. This was where Mike worked as ExxonMobil as an engineer. Jeff Bezos started his education at River Oaks Elementary School, where it didn't take long for him to stand out. He would also spend summers with his maternal grandfather, Lawrence Preston, who was the former regional director at the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. There, he worked on the ranch with his grandfather. The beautiful thing about this is that when Jeff finally made the big bucks, he expanded the ranch from its initial 25,000 acres to a whopping 300,000 acres. After elementary school, Mike Bezos decided it was time to move his family again, and this time it was to the city of Miami. Jeff moved on to Palmetto High School while working at a local McDonald's for some extra cash. The young nerd took a job as a short-line cook, but this had its side effects. The grease gave him terrible acne, which made his employers stop him from serving customers. However, despite this employment history, Jeff was actually doing quite well in school. He won award after award, including Silver Knight Award, and is a National Merit Scholar. It was no surprise that he was chosen as the high school valedictorian, where he gave a memorable speech that most of his classmates that year won't forget in a hurry. Remember how we mentioned that Jeff was crazy about space exploration? Well, his valedictorian speech in 1982 was the perfect opportunity to share his vision for all humanity to relocate to space. Jeff has always been passionate about getting everyone off the Earth, and guess what he wants to turn it into? A national park. Does this seem like a reach? Well, Jeff believed in this and still does, which is why he has been investing billions of dollars in this project. But let's not get too far ahead. It's time to talk about Jeff's entrance into the business world. Working in corporate America. After graduating summa cum laude from Princeton University with an impressive CGPA, Jeff Bezos got offers to work at Anderson Consulting, Bell Labs, and Intel. While at the university, he was unsurprisingly the president of the local chapter of students who were all about exploring outer space. But instead of picking any of these companies, he went for a telecommunications startup called Fitel instead. There, he helped the company build a network for international trade. As you can well imagine, this partnership didn't last long, and he soon left after to become a product manager at Bankers Trust. Again, Jeff moved on from D.E. Shaw, where he remained until he became the senior vice president at just 30. But after a while, he decided that he had enough of corporate America and wanted to follow his dreams. So, armed with just ambition, Jeff Bezos went over to Seattle, where he planned to create the world's first online bookstore. If you think this was a little ambitious, especially for someone who had a high-paying job in one of the top companies in the United States, then you're right. Even his parents thought so as well. But Jeff had made his mind up, and on July 5th in 1994, he started selling books out of his garage, not to just people within his state, but in different parts of the world. At first, he wanted to name his company Cadabra Incorporated, formed from abracadabra. But when he mentioned Cadabra Incorporated on the phone to his lawyer, and the man replied with cadaver, he knew at once that this would be a terrible name, and that's how the name Amazon was born. Despite his parents not being so much in support of this bold move away from his Wall Street job, they gave him a $300,000 loan to finance the company. Jeff Bezos was very much aware that the company could come crashing down at any time, and he didn't hide this fact from his investors. So everyone who dropped funds for Amazon was well aware of the risk of going bankrupt within the first year. All that growth at the initial stage was through media exposure and word of mouth, but Jeff was ready to take the company public within 3 years of launching. But Jeff wasn't satisfied with just having an online bookstore. He wanted to diversify and expand his product line to include everything and anything, and he did it. Within a few years, customers could shop for all types of consumer goods on Amazon, including home videos, books, household products, and even music. Well, you just have to visit the website today to see how much of an empire it is. The rise of Amazon. Amazon's rise to success wasn't a smooth one by any means. In fact, the same year Jeff Bezos launched the Amazon Web Service for gathering data from website traffic and weather channels was the year Amazon started a downward spiral. All the spending was causing a huge strain on revenue streams, and the company was close to bankruptcy. It was so bad that Amazon had to close a few distribution centers and lay off almost 20% of its workforce. But Jeff Bezos bounced back from this, and Amazon started emerging as the giant it was always meant to be. The company turned in an amazing profit of $400 billion, and Jeff Bezos launched Amazon Kindle in 2007. The plan was to introduce readers to a whole new experience of books, and anyone who has used this service can agree it's a huge online library where you can find just about any author easily without ever having to touch a single hard copy. There is a huge chance you have purchased at least one item from Amazon and had it delivered right to your doorstep. That's the power of online shopping that Jeff Bezos brought to our fingertips through Amazon. Then he gave his public image a complete overhaul. With a lot of weight training and a wardrobe change to tailored suits, the image of the powerful CEO that we know today began to take form. But he had no way forgotten his mission to take everyone to space. And that's the major reason why Amazon was on the verge of bankruptcy. Jeff Bezos launched Blue Origin in 2000. This was his space flight service company that he invested billions of dollars in from the money he earned through Amazon. It all paid off in 2015 when his team successfully reached space for the first time. We know what you're thinking. Haven't several people done this before already? Well, it's a feat that gets celebrated every time someone successfully steps out of Earth's orbit into outer space. Jeff Bezos is still committed to following in the footsteps of the several great space explorers we've had in the last few decades, and this has also influenced his ambitions with Amazon. In 2013, Jeff secured an amazing contract worth $600 million with the CIA. This contract meant that they would use his Amazon Web Services, and this was a pretty big deal. That year would be a great one for Amazon as it got recognized as the largest online shopping retailer in the world. Being named as the best in the world and not just in the United States was super cool, as you can imagine, and he saw his dream that started in a garage come to life fully. But Jeff Bezos wasn't done with Amazon just yet. His next big break is a fantastic device that you can find in almost every home. We're talking about Alexa, which you would be familiar with. This is smart tech that gave us a new look into the world of hot technology. So you could say that Amazon's rise started from the years when the internet wasn't as popular as it is today, and rose to the top at the time when most people can't go a few hours without their smartphones. And that has contributed immensely to the company's success. Over the years, Jeff Bezos has introduced other impressive products, including Amazon Prime, and invested in companies like Whole Foods and Twitch. As of March 2021, Jeff Bezos was worth almost $200 billion, and he was once the richest man in the world. Today, he still remains one of the most influential men in the world. Of course, he still has a lot up his sleeves with Amazon, which is currently experimenting with unmanned stores, heavily dependent on technology to communicate with consumers, especially with the current global health situation. And there you have it. Here is the story of how Jeff Bezos became the world's most powerful CEO. What would you say you love about his business model? Let me know in the comments. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching.